No one's on the Zoom, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave it on because that way our discussion of the syllabus will be recorded. And y'all will be able to watch it back if you have any questions or something just didn't quite stick in your mind. So, you set up a meeting with me through that link, pretty easy. And we can meet anywhere. So I've had students meet me from their cars, when they're on their lunch break at work, your dorm room, a lounge, walking across campus, whatever works for you. I don't think, disappointingly, we're gonna get any snow this year. I'm from the Midwest, so I love snow. But if for any reason we do have any weird weather, check the website. There will be like a red banner across the top if there's any delays or closings. Your text for this class has a little bit of complication to it. I realized after talking to a couple people over email and my first meeting yesterday, which is that you can get the ebook version, but then apparently the bookstore has a hard time letting you buy it, which is really frustrating. And then like the loose leaf version is also having some issues. Ideally, you want to get the 11th edition of Comer with the DSM 5 TR update. Jesus Christ, I need to just like make it the DSM 6. And the biggest thing that you really need, and this will give you access to the ebook as well, is Connect access for the 11th edition. The wrench in that is that even though I've used Connect the past 5 times probably I've taught this class, it will not let me set it up properly. So right now you can't register for it from Blackboard. So I tried last week. I thought maybe it needs a data process, so I tried again yesterday. And I chatted them and they were like, sorry, I can't help you. And made me make an appointment with someone else to get help. So that appointment is tomorrow. As soon as that's done, I should be able to set up the Connect so it links with Blackboard. I don't know why they couldn't have just like sent me a link to do X, Y, Z, but I will email you as soon as that's available, and then you'll be able to register for Connect so that your grades through Connect will sync with Blackboard. So I apologize that that is behind, but I've never had this issue in the past. It's always just sort of works the first time. So, but your first assignment for that isn't due until next week, I think. And if I need to delay it, I can. No biggie. So yes, that as soon as I have that worked out, I will. The biggest thing, like I said, is that Connect access. So get that in the most affordable way you can. Fully acknowledging, sorry, Launchpad, please. Connect is what we use for our intro book, Launchpad. And fully acknowledging that textbooks have gotten ridiculously expensive. And apologize, I have nothing to do with the prices. I wish that I could just tell them like make a $50 book. But it's much more affordable if you just buy the Connect access with the ebook. So this is a huge field. This field, I think a lot of people think of as being the core of psychology. I bet a lot of you who are psych majors have had people say to you, are you analyzing me? Right? When you tell them you're majoring in psych. So people tend to think of psychopathology or psychological disorders and also therapy when they think of psychology. So this is a fun class where we really do an overview. It's sort of a survey of the major areas of psychopathology. Each of these could be their own course, and in fact, every other J term, I do teach a whole course just on eating disorders. So certainly there are lots of ways these things could be expanded. So the ideal is to help you to gain understanding of the general categories of mental disorders, think critically about this field, and then adopt an empathetic and informed view about mental illness, right? Thinking about people with mental illness as people and not as subjects to be exploited for entertainment, which unfortunately has happened really obviously in the past and happens in more subtle ways today. Everything will be posted on Blackboard throughout the semester. That's where you'll turn most things in. And so make sure you go home today and check that you're on our Blackboard page. If for whatever reason you don't have access to the 256 abnormal psychopathology one or adult psychopathology, geez, it's gonna take me a minute. Shoot me an email and I can add you. Alrighty, and so it looks like a lot of you read my email yesterday. Awesome. I'm recommending that you mask just because the pandemic is going on still. There's somewhere in the order of 1,000 people a day still dying from COVID. RSV and the flu are also rampant. And it allows us to protect those of us who have immunocompromised issues or around family members who can't get vaccinated. I highly recommend, if you're able to upgrade to something like an N95, which is what I'm wearing, or a KN95, just because research shows that some of the new variants kind of just rip through cloth and traditional surgical masks. But anything is better than nothing, so find something that works for your face and that you're comfortable in. Along those lines, if you get any kind of illness, don't come to class. Even with the masks, it's possible if you like take a sip of water or something like that, that you could expose other people. I read something this morning about a middle school where 23 of their teachers have COVID and they just like can't find subs. Let's not do that to each other. Let's protect each other and make sure everybody can keep coming to class for as long as we can. If you are sick and feeling up to it, please feel free to use the Zoom. If you're sick and not feeling up to it, please do not feel obligated to use the Zoom. Please take care of yourself. Your health is the priority. You need to give yourself time to rest and recuperate. If I get sick, which happens, I know a couple of you were in my J-term class and we had to do the first couple days on Zoom because I tested positive for COVID. Merry Christmas. Then I will teach on Zoom as long as I am able to be upright and sound comes out of my mouth. I've had one time, I think in my entire time teaching, where I had to cancel class for illness. And it was, I literally, like, when I tried to talk about them came out, being on Zoom wouldn't have helped, right? So I will keep you appraised of any of those. What I usually try to do is use the announcement feature on Blackboard and do it so it sends you an email right away as well. I will record the lectures, which I just realized is recording just the Blackboard and me talking, so that's a little better. And then what I do is I make the YouTube playlist and link to that on Blackboard, so then you can go to that YouTube playlist and watch any day you may have missed. But definitely don't take that as a I never need to come to class. It's sort of a pale substitution for being here in person. Along those lines, the student handbook and really just like ethics says don't record people without informing them they're being recorded. So unless you need to do so for accommodations purposes, please do not record me or any of your classmates without letting us know. Even if you're going to be doing it for accommodations, we probably want to just do a little heads up. We don't have to say who, but hey, just so you guys know, someone in here is recording for accommodation purposes. If you have to be on Zoom and you can use your camera, awesome. I also fully acknowledge that with the strength or lack thereof of the Wi-Fi on campus, sometimes if you have your camera on, you can't see or hear me, right? So definitely feel free to do what you need to do to be able to actually access class. This is where we mostly lecture, but we sometimes get into discussion and certainly questions. I often love the questions that y'all bring, so please feel free to bring those. And all I ask is if debates do come up, debate ideas, not people. We will talk about really controversial things. One of the first things we'll talk about next week or the week after is models of abnormality. We're gonna talk about Freud. So I'm gonna say the word phallus a lot, right? And none of this is to make y'all uncomfortable. It's really just to explain the history and context of these disorders. Sorry, this is not COVID. I know this is just a cold because my daughter was sent home from school yesterday. We took her to the doctor and the doctor was like, it's a cold. I was like, wasted $25. Cool. Exactly. That was sort of my thought. And now we can send her back tomorrow ethically. So of course she gives it to me. That's another reason I mask with a really high quality mask is because I have a 4.5-year-old. I'm much more likely to give y'all something because she's a little germ back there. So this is a class in particular that can bring some stuff up for you. One of the things that we talk about is what we call med student syndrome, which is that first-year med students often start to believe they have every disease they read about. And that can happen in this class too, where we read about disorder, you're like, I have that. You might, or you might be overreacting, and that's fine. But talk to someone who's a licensed professional. I'm not licensed. And also, even if I was, I cannot be your therapist and your professor due to ethical guidelines. That's like a conflict of interest. So I have information about the counseling center later on the syllabus. And if for whatever reason that does not work, I have resources I can provide you in the community. Alrighty, so one of the first things you'll do is to set up a meeting with me. And you've got about a month to do this. You'll use that Calendly link. This is just for us to get to know each other if I've never had you before. If I've had you before, this is just to like check in, see how you're doing. And it's an opportunity for anyone to ask questions that might not come up today for you or might come up sort of as we go through things. So in addition to letting me get to know you, this also familiarizes you with my system. And so if later in the semester you really need to meet with me, it's hopefully not as scary, right? You've done it already. Oh, I just click. I can meet with Dr. Myers. So over the summer, in 2022, I attended a workshop to work on revamping IntroSite. And some of the ideas from that I've carried over into a lot of my other classes. And one of those is thinking about the diversity, equity, inclusion, access, and justice of how we present and accept assignments. And research shows that students who are first-generation college students, students who are marginalized in other ways, often do much more poorly on in-class exams than do students who are, we think of as like the more traditional successful college students. So that's not very fair or just, right? If it's giving you a disadvantage. So what I've done is I've actually moved all of your exams to be take home, open book, open note. Not open friend. I do want it to be your own work. But those will be available on Blackboard. I'll try to get them open at least a week before they're due, and you can sit down and do them anytime, no time limit, with all your stuff, so that you can do the best you can, and I can learn what you actually know rather than what you happen to practically memorize the day before the exam, right? And so there are 4 of those throughout the semester, and there will be a deadline for those that we'll look at as well. Don't cheat. One of my least favorite things as a professor is when I have to report someone for an honor code violation. In addition to it sometimes making you cry, which is like my least favorite thing to do as a professor. It also means that you, even if your GPA was a 4.0 when you go to graduate, you cannot receive Latin honors because you had an academic honesty violation. So just don't do that to yourself. Alrighty, so your big individual project for this course is what I hope is fun. Generally, people seem to like it. So what you're going to do is find some media representation of a disorder. I'll give you an example. A lot of people in the past, at least one a year, have used this episode of the show Full House, not Fuller House, the OG Full House, when DJ had an eating disorder for like 20 minutes. All right, and so it's an interesting portrayal of some of the symptoms being accurate and then obviously the timeline not quite being accurate. So it can be that, it can be like an episode of a TV show, it can be a streaming series, it can be a movie, whatever makes sense to you. And then you're gonna find a journal article that also talks about that. As we get closer, I'll show y'all how to do that in easy ways. And then you basically kind of compare and contrast them. So you talk about the scholarly article, you talk about how the media depicts the disorder, then you talk about how accurate or not it is. You turn that in with some representation of the media. Often people just do the poster or a screen grab. And then like a copy of the first page of the scholarly article. Tends to be pretty fun. It's only a 3 to 5 page paper and you get 100 points for it. Then we have the Launchpad activities, which again, should hopefully be up and active tomorrow. And these are activities to kind of build off what we're doing in class. So the initial ones that you'll be doing are video activities where you'll watch a video related to what we talk about in class, and then you will answer questions about it. And then once we start talking about the disorders, you're going to be doing these activities called the clinical choices, where you basically serve in the role of a therapist interviewing a new client and try to diagnose them. And I'm pretty biased about these activities. I think they're pretty awesome because some person named Taryn Myers wrote them. So hopefully you'll enjoy them. We tried to make them really interactive. And so you will get 90 points total for those. There are 12 activities. You get 3 freebies. All right, and then your big group project for this course is a presentation. So you'll get together 4 to 6. I mean, it could be more flexible than that. People, and you'll choose a disorder we're not covering. So we don't cover the sleep disorders. We don't cover the addictive disorders. We don't get to things like the dementias and the disorders of aging. If you want to talk about a disorder of childhood, that's also really fine. And as a group, you prepare a presentation, essentially doing a mini teaching about it for the rest of the class. So this can really take any format. Oftentimes people do PowerPoints, but like one of my favorite someone ever did is they did kleptomania, which is people who have like this impulse to steal. And they made like an MTV True Life about it. They literally had one of the students like steal one of the other presenters' cars, and so you can be as creative or not as you want with it. And so you're going to talk about like the theories that explain it. What are the symptoms? How would you assess someone to see if they had it? How do you treat someone who has this disorder? How does this affect that person's quality of life, or maybe the quality of life of the people around them? And you do that as a group at the time of our final exam. So we don't have a cumulative final. You just have those 4 exams throughout the semester. And then at the time of our scheduled final exam, you'll do your group projects, present to each other. So you can see there are 700 points for the total class. One thing that I realized I didn't actually include in the body of the syllabus, which in its own way is an explanation, I think, is my late policy, which is there's really not one. So do I recommend you save everything for the end of the semester? No. If you turn in all your clinical choices right at the end of the semester, am I going to be mad and take points off? No. The exams are the exception. I will be more strict about trying to get those in on time. Although if something comes up, we can negotiate something. But I know that you all have lives, and I know that stuff gets in the way. The same thing happens to me. If I turn in something late, say a review for a journal, they don't say, oh, sorry, we can't take this anymore. They say, thank you for getting this done, right? And I wanted to give you all that same real world experience. So there are some things with harder deadlines, but most of the time, it's pretty flexible. So this means you don't have to tell me if one of those smaller assignments is gonna be late, just turn it in when you can, and I'll see it's turned in on Blackboard, and then I can grade it. You do have opportunities for extra credit. One is by participating in research studies through SONA systems. We have, actually, I just found out we have 3 seniors who are doing their 480 projects this semester. I thought we were only up 2, but we just added 1. And then Dr. Ariel's lab and my lab typically run studies as well. If you don't want to be a guinea pig, no judgment. You can instead do some summaries of articles related to class material. If you have any kind of accommodations, make sure that you get the form from Crit and bring it to me. If this is your first semester seeking accommodations, make sure that you work with him in his office to get everything squared away. Here's the contact info for the counseling center. One of the things I often talk about is the fact that free counseling is something you should really take advantage of if you need it. Because when I was on my residency, my internship year, I had a client who didn't have insurance, and the facility set the fees, I didn't. And so she had to pay, I believe, $175 an hour to see me, plus another $100 facility fee on top of that. And that was every appointment. Versus free, right? So take advantage if you do need it, for sure. And both Brandon and April, our 2 full-time counselors, are BW alums. So they've been where y'all are sitting. Maybe not this exact classroom, but you know what I mean metaphorically. Alrighty, so if you turn to page 9, you will see that we have an outline of everything we're gonna do. So what we'll talk about first is what is abnormal? Why do we use that term? What terms do we use to talk about this? Then we'll talk about views and models and like who gets to decide who has a psychopathology or not. We'll talk about research and assessment. How do you decide if someone has a disorder or not? And then that material will be on exam 1. Then we'll get into the disorders. We'll start with the ones most commonly diagnosed, which are the depressive disorders. We'll talk about the bipolar disorders. We'll talk about death by suicide. We'll talk about the anxiety disorders and the obsessive compulsive and related disorders. We'll talk about disorders of trauma and stress. And then after spring break, we'll get more into some of the less common disorders, like the dissociative disorders, the somatic symptom disorders, eating disorders, sexual disorders and gender variations, schizophrenia. And the last thing we cover are the substance use disorders and the personality disorders, which allow us to really get at some things that underlie other issues. As you'll see, we don't have class during spring break or on that day of the academic symposium. And then the student presentations are scheduled for a Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. That's our exam period. Bless you. And then if for some reason you want to drop this or any other course without having it ever show up in your transcript, do it by Friday. If something goes horribly wrong, this is not often a class I have this problem in, but I know stuff comes up for people and you want to drop this or any other class without having it show up as a failing grade on your transcripts, you have to do that by the 7th of April. So if you don't drop in the class by the 7th of April, it will go in as a WF, which counts the same like an F in your GPA. Again, not trying to scare you all, just trying to inform, because I don't know if I've ever had someone have to do that for this course. This is a course that people generally do pretty well in. Alrighty, so let's do introductions. So let's do name and include if there's something you prefer to be called. So like a nickname, or if they list your first name, but you prefer to be called that, and include your last name just because I'm using it to take attendance. The first couple weeks I'll probably have to call roll. Then once I know all your names, I'll just check you off as you walk in. Then we'll do pronouns. We'll do major. And class year. And then I did this one earlier and I really liked it, so. Something that you're looking forward to. And it can be class related, it can be sports related. A couple people this morning said spring break, which like respect. So I'll do mine first. So I'm Dr. Myers. She, her. I majored in psychology. My class year is like 30th or something. Who knows? And then what I'm looking forward to is that my daughter has already started planning her birthday party in June. And she's like very adamant about it being like a rainbow and canto party. So, you know, I'm already pumped for that. So let's go ahead and start by the window.
Hi, my name is Oliver Chauncey. I use he, they pronouns. I am an English major, and psychology minor. I graduate in 2024, and after my girlfriend gets back from Panama, we are getting married on May 4th.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
My name is Caitlin Dunkel. My pronouns are she, her. My major is business and psychology. And my class year is 2025. And something I'm looking forward to is a good semester.
Nice, yeah, hey.
My name is I also go by Clyde. My pronouns are her. I am double majoring in international relations and political science. And my class year is 2024. And I look forward to, I guess I'm a junior, so like just transitioning into a senior year and like finding graduation and all that stuff. It's nerve-wracking, but I love looking forward to it.
Nice.
My name is Olivia Sapp. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a psych major. My class year is 2025, and I'm looking forward to my birthday.
Nice. Alrighty.
My name is Samantha Vega. I use any pronouns. I'm a double major. I'm doing English and psychology. I graduate 2024, and I think I'm looking forward to spring break.
Great, alright.
My name is Kimberly Kavinsky. I use she, her, and he, him pronouns. I'm a double major with psychology and gender women and sexuality studies. My class year is 2025, and something I'm looking forward to is my 1-year anniversary with my girlfriend.
Nice.
My name is Grace McGee. My pronouns are she, her. My major is sports and recreation management, with a double minor in business and psychology. Class year 2025, and I'm looking forward to the Tennessee.
Nice. There are times I wish I had minored in business or majored in business. Seriously, if anyone in here is thinking like you might want to go into private practice in the future, taking some accounting classes will like save your life.
My name is Daryl Tucker. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm a psych major. My class year is 2025, and I'm looking forward to taking it out.
Nice. Full respect for that.
Name is Matthew, for Matthew. Yeah. A biochem major in psych minor, graduating 2025, and we'll go to Roman Famous.
Awesome. And sorry, I think I called you Matt during J term, so I'll make sure it's.
Something with pronunciations.
Awesome.
My name is Gilman Rogan. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a chem major. My class year is 2024. And I'm looking forward to summertime at one another.
Nice. Yes. I have become very adapted to Virginia very quickly after living in the Midwest, so same.
My name is Marciano. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a major. My year is 2025, and I'm looking forward to.
Nice.
I'm Kylie Pasandera. My pronouns are she, her. double major in psych and criminal justice, 2025, and then I'm looking forward to the board this one. Yes.
My name is Kaylin Bird, my pronoun are she, her. My major, I'm a double major in psych and sports rec management. Class year is 2025, something I'm looking forward to more in Texas. My name is Jada Nolan. My pronoun is she, her. My major is psychology. My class year is 2025, and something I'm looking forward to is my games tomorrow.
Nice. My name is Sarah Richards, she, her pronouns. I'm a psych major, maybe double majoring in art. Class of 2026. And I'm just looking forward to more than one. Nice.
Have you looked into art therapy at all?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. You're on that path.
My last year is 2025, and something I'm looking forward to is
Oh, my favorite.
My name is David Poole, pronouns he, him. Major psychology class here, 2024, something with 20 school ball.
Next, do you prefer Dave or David?
David.
Okay,
My name is Micaiah Himes. My pronouns are she, her. My major is psych. I'm a 2025 and I'm looking for one more.
My name is Emily Moody. I'm a nursing major with a psych minor. 2025, and then walk order.
so I'm guessing you're not part of the first cohort that just sort of transition over to Centera, yeah, but soon.
I'm with David Monroe. My pronouns are she, her. My major is psychology. My class year is 2023, and I'm looking forward to graduating.
Nice.
My name is Dave Allen. My pronouns are she, her. My major is psychology, minor in criminal justice. My class year is 2025 and I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, you saw me scribbling, I was scribbling down your majors just because I find it really interesting to see the variety. And in this class, we have a lot, which I love, which means we'll get questions from lots of different perspectives, which is awesome. Alrighty, so typically we will go the whole class time, but that's all I have for y'all today. Yeah,
So I was looking at the Blackboard thing for the launchpad, and I don't see launchpad live.
it's not there because I have to have this tech meeting with them tomorrow, and then it should exist after that. So, I'll email you guys when it's up there. Yeah, no problem. If anyone has individual questions, come grab me. Michaela, are you good?
Well, no, that I can post it.
Perfect, yeah, don't get any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Awesome. Yes. Awesome. And one's for me, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't think much about directing it, and I responded. All you know is leave them is how many you put in.
Okay.
And then
I need to drastically bring my cash.
Yes,
Because
and then I
forgot
will
left
bring,
leg.
no, and then I will bring you direct.
Okay, cool. Oh, come on.
Be mine.
Be great to show. And then I'll be part of it. And go get them.
I'm just like major, but I do think on my account.
Well, we'll be glad to have you.
Buy access there.
Yeah, and that's probably.
I
the easiest way to do it.
like with ebooks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
Sure.
I think I emailed you about it too, so, is it connected with Connect?
And, what I'm just saying to her is that once February, hopefully, you know, when you set up for me right tomorrow. I'll send that link, and then you can actually buy access right through the link with the Blackboard, and then it'll give you Launchpad and if you're cool with using it.
Right, so Launchpad is also Connect.
No, sorry, I keep saying that it's something we use for intro, so. That's my bad. Yeah, Launchpad is like Connect, but it's a different type of.
Gotcha, so I will wait for your link, basically.
Exactly. So yeah, I normally have that day one, but yeah, this tech problem.
And just one other quick thing,
Sure.
and you might be thinking like, okay, this is the first time I'm interacting with you, why are you asking this question? But, so I'm like declaring a site minor,
Oh, good.
and I like just emailed the registrar, I'm like already halfway done with it. I'm looking for an advisor, would you be willing?
Yeah, definitely. So just shoot me an email, and then I'll apply to you and CC the registrar, and they'll get it. over.
Perfect, and we can talk more about this in our 5 to 10 minute
Perfect,
conversation.
yep, exactly. And
Okay.
then once you're on my schedule, then, or my like roster of advisees, then you'll get an email when it's advising time on how to sign up with me and all that.
Perfect, so I will send you an email and not the registrar.
Perfect, yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There was that from Lavender.
Oh, form. Okay. There you go. Thank you, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, I bought it from the school bookstore instead of Rage, because I'm not supposed to Rage. That's exciting. It does.
Do any of y'all need me for any questions?
Uh,
Yeah, if you're just hanging out, that's fine.